So we're going to go through a set of 4 drills that we do pre-acceleration. The first one is an Askip. It's a very common drill. It's a great drill if done correctly. It's a terrible drill if done incorrectly. We're looking for great postural integrity at the hip. We want to stay up and tall in the middle of the body in this hip girdle area. We want to make sure we stay 90s everywhere we can, ankle, knee, hip, and elbow. And the most important thing is that we maintain a forward lean slightly. We don't want to drift back here, sit down in order to get the knees up. We want to stay over the top of our center of mass and drive the foot into the ground. So CJ is going to show us how to do that. Great forward lean, 90 degrees everywhere, great dorsiflex, really nice drill. So our second drill is the Bskip, which is an extended version of the Askip. We're allowing for the same positions and the same set of drills and the same set of rules are engaged. But when we drive the knee up, we're going to extend the lower leg and drive it down to the track and pull ourselves back. It's a great drill, again, if done correctly. This is a much more difficult drill. When you've got young kids that are beginners, stick to the Askip until they're really, really proficient and then move to the Bskip. CJ will show it to us. This is not a drill that you rush. It's a drill that's taken its time. Great drill. So much more difficult drill to stay over the top of your center of mass with. Because you're drifting the foot out, young athletes want to drift back here. We want to stay over that top of the center of mass as much as possible. The next drill we call 1, 2, 3. Again, more advanced drill, not for your younger athletes. Let them build into these drills. CJ is gonna demonstrate it. It's basically 3 small steps and then a cycle. And when you go to the cycle, again, we want that cycle to come underneath the hip and land under that center of mass, so it's pushing us down the track as much as possible. Make sure the focus is on the hands at the same time. All right, CJ. Great drill. So working on cycling that leg, working on that range of motion through the cycle and down. When athletes let the foot drift out in front and it lands out here, it means the other leg's got to be in the air while that leg moves underneath the hip. So we want the foot to strike and be under and come straight back up. We want that half moon or crescent moon shape. So as the foot comes here, it's down and then it's straight up underneath the butt. gonna move to a straight leg bound. This is a great drill for forcing athletes to drive the foot back into the ground. Again, the dorsiflex is really important. And again, that center of mass is really important. We want to drive here, not back here where we're flicking the foot and landing on the ground. We want to drive it down into the ground and pull as much as we can with the hamstrings. It's a great drill to finish your warm-up with and really get the body clicking and turning over. Talk about the repetitions, and repetitions are great, but consistently good repetitions are so much better than just repetitions. We talk about being able to sprint correctly. So for me, if I'm a young athlete and I'm starting out and I want to learn how to sprint well, I go out and I learn how to drill first. I want to do Askips and I want to do Bskips, and I want to do those types of drills that I can film and tell myself, yes, you have postural integrity, your hips are high. You have 90-degree angles at the shin and the knee and the hip, and my arms are 90 degrees. If I can do those well, then I can broaden my horizon and say, okay, well, now we're gonna take those and we're gonna go, instead of going 10 or 15 meters, we're gonna go to 30 meters. And now we're gonna add some longer running. We're gonna do those things well. We're gonna run through the wickets so I can control my stride length. Those kinds of things. So once I've taken that athlete and I've said, okay, you run well, you do the basics well, then we can start to add in the cool things, the plyometrics, the weight room, those kinds of things. But again, as you start those, we've got to learn to do them well. So learn plyometrics at a low level with a low volume. Let's not get hurt doing them. Let's learn the weight room with a broomstick in our hands. Instead of throwing 250 pounds on the squat, let's put a broomstick on our shoulders and let's learn to squat correctly. Let's make sure that we're flexible enough to go through the range of motion and stay healthy.
That's really where all the quote unquote grit gets done, the work gets done, you know? Your season is just, that's where it starts. We call it off season because you're not really doing a bunch of technical stuff, but that's where the real work get done. That's where you get better. Because when the season rolls around, you're just focusing on technical stuff, the small stuff adjusting, but if you haven't done that base work and really become fit and getting yourself better, then all the technical stuff becomes harder and you never really get the most out of yourself. So that's why it's so important, at least for me, that's why it's really, really, really important. I tend to push myself a little bit harder than I did the year before, try to get that extra little oomph to obviously try to make sure I'm better than my competitors, you know? So that's where, for me, the bulk of the work gets done. And not to say during season the work doesn't continue, it definitely does, but it's a different kind of work, you can only get a certain amount of stuff to do because you're really technical, you know? So I'd say off season is where the bulk of the work is, and that's where you really need to just buckle down, bow your head and do the work, you know? So for me, that's one of the biggest things of off season, at least.